Hello and welcome back to the Stronghold. I'm the Magi, and today we are going to be talking about not one but two brand new arena anthologies added to the client effective the 19th of August. We're going to be looking at both of these anthologies not just from a contents perspective, talking about the individual cards in many cases, but also from an economic perspective of both their cost in arena economic terms, but also their opportunity costs and different ways to approach these. But before we get into all that, take just a moment to like, comment, and subscribe, because that kind of thing really keeps this boat moving. Now, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, right. In the words of Jay Parker, initially the Arena team aimed anthology releases at specific formats, like Historic or Explorer, but as they expanded the number of formats on MtG Arena, we've seen that many of the most engaged players enjoy multiple formats, bouncing from one to the other. Because of that, we think more about MtG Arena's overall card pool, not just for the experience we offer today, but for ones we may offer in the future. This led them to try something new and are excited to introduce arena anthologies designed not so much to target a specific format, but rather to build on MtG Arena's card pool in interesting and useful ways. The cards are intended to be legal in Historic, Timeless, and Brawl, with the exception of Mox Opal, which is pre-banned in Historic for perceived power levels. All right, so let's start by looking at the individual cards in Anthology 1. This is 26 individual cards that fit into, well, three pretty broad categories here. The first of being 4 additions to the collection of swords of this and that. First off, we've got Feast and Famine, which of course is the black-green sword. Then we've got Light and Shadow, which represents the white and black addition to the collection. Truth and Justice, which is white and blue. And then, of course, rounding out the 4 of is the red, white, War and Peace. Also an excellent book for those who may not have checked it out. Beyond that, we've got a 10-piece collection of signets. These are all 2 mana. All of them are artifacts. You pay 1, you tap it, and you get one of each of the 2 colors associated with the various Ravnica guilds. We've got all of them in here. Beyond that, we have something similar with the talismans. These are also 2 mana artifacts, a little bit more complicated. They can tap for colorless mana, or they can tap for one or the other color of mana associated with that particular guild, and at the same time deals a point of damage to you. Now, beyond those 3 broad groupings of cards, there are only 2 cards to really speak of. Again, both are artifacts. The first is Darksteel Plate, a 3 mana equipment which is indestructible, and equipped creature has indestructible, equip cost of 2. I can't help but think that this is definitely in here for Brawl more than anything else, but I guess it remains to be seen. Beyond that, we've got Champion's Helm, another 3 mana equipment. It gives creatures +2/+2, and as long as equipped creature is legendary, it has hexproof, equip cost of 1. Again, feels like a pretty obvious inclusion for Brawl purposes, but hey, can we really blame them that they did an entire anthology more or less directed for Brawl players? Not really. I mean, Brawl is the fastest growing format on the Arena client, and maybe one day we even get something like a more multiplayer Commander, but I think that is either unlikely or, at the very least, a long time yet coming. On the other hand, Arena Anthology 2 is a little more of a mixed bag of card types, really running the gauntlet here. We've got 6 sorceries being added. The first is the 2 mana Dam, destroy target creature. A creature destroyed in this way cannot be regenerated, and it has an overload of 2 and 2 white. Beyond that, we've got the single white mana Oust. Put target creature into its owner's library, second from the top. Its controller gains 3 life. Nice little tempo. Life and Death are a split card addition at uncommon. We've got a Storm spell in Empty the Warrens that could give you quite a lot of goblins. Flame Slash deals 4 damage to target creature at sorcery speed for a single red mana. And Fiery Confluence, 2 and 2 red, choose 3. You may choose the same mode more than once. Your choices are: it deals 1 damage to each creature, or it deals 2 damage to each opponent, or it destroys target artifact. Again, you can choose modes multiple times, so in essence, you could deal 3 damage to each creature, 6 damage to your opponent, or take up to 3 artifacts off the field. Blue seems to dominate the instance here with a Mana Leak, pretty much a soft counter, and Thought Scour. Target player mills 2 cards and you draw a card, all for a single blue mana. And also Planeswalkers being added, Grist the Hunger Tide in Golgari colors, and Wrenn and 6 in there in the Gruul colors of red and green. Now, creatures, we got quite a lot here. 8 creatures to talk about. Eternal Witness, this is an all-star, absolute all-star. We've also got Trinket Mage, Triplicate Titan, a card which honestly I am not familiar with. It's a 9 mana 9/9 Golem artifact creature with flying, vigilance, and trample. This creature dies, create a 3/3 colorless Golem artifact creature token with flying, a 3/3 colorless Golem artifact creature token with vigilance, and a 3/3 colorless Golem artifact creature token with trample. Okay, that's pretty neat. If it dies instead of getting exiled, it basically splits into 3 pieces, each one representing one of its keywords. The Mother of All Runes is up in here. For those that don't know, she is a 1 mana 1/1 that taps, and target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. Basically, Mother of Runes says no, just how it works. She can even target herself, but you've got to basically line it up with 2 pieces of removal in order to take out Mother of Runes that have to be different colors. Because the first one, you activate it, give her protection from a color. The second one's got to come in as a different color to actually take her out in response. Or, I guess if you're doing it in response and the timing works out, you could in fact still name the original color. Barrogoyf coming in here for black, and Pyrogoyf for red. Raphelos, Llanowar Emissary. I'd have sworn this was already on Arena, but I'm guessing based on this, it's not. And Ignoble Hierarch, a 1 mana 0/1 mana dork with Exalted, and this guy taps for your Jund colors. That is a black, red, and green. Jumping over then to your enchantments, we've got a single entry in Control Magic. There's a blast from the past that you just don't see often enough. I want to say this was originally in Alpha Beta, but as I started playing in Revised, I could be mistaken in that. And lands, this is an exciting one for me and anyone who is really into artifacts for Pauper. They finally finished off the artifact, the lands, white's Ancient Den, green's Tree of Tales, and red Great Furnace. I really can't wait for the next historic Pauper. to bring out some good old-fashioned affinity. In a related note, we do get actually 3 artifact cards: Pirate Spellbomb and Currency Converter, a card that again I am not familiar with. 1 mana, whenever you discard a card, you may exile that card from your graveyard. Tap 2 and a tap, draw a card, then discard a card, and tap, put a card exiled with this artifact into the graveyard. If it's a land card, you create a treasure token. If it's a non-land card, you create a 2/2 black rogue creature token. Interesting card. I'm not sure I see its purpose. So for those of you out there listening, please feel free to get in the comments and key me in on why this card is being added to Arena, because other than it being interesting, I'm not sure I see the point. Mox Opal, of course, is that legendary artifact with Metalcraft. Taps 1 mana of any color, and you can activate this ability only if you control 3 or more artifacts. Again, this looks like a clear affinity inclusion here. And of course, don't forget, this card is pre-banned in Historic, so we'll see ya in Timeless. To begin the economic conversation, I want to start with presentation. And it doesn't go unnoticed that these are only presented in one way because, well, that's how they want us to consume these. I will salute whoever made the decision, whether that is the Arena team, Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro, Chris Cox for all I know, not to present these as a cash-only option. They are presented with gem and gold price tags, maybe rather exorbitant ones, but it is there. So these are approachable, accessible bundles for free-to-play players without having to invest cold hard cash. You might not have 4,000 gems or 25,000 gold laying around, but it is theoretically possible. The next issue of presentation is literally how it's being presented to us in the store. You see the words new and limited time offer glowing brightly to create that FOMO effect. Literal streaming starlight behind the graphics of the products. It's all there, and it is all to create a fervor and drive you towards making a purchase decision. Now, we talked about the individual cards, but of course each of these bundles is representing 25 to 26 cards each. And that is a 4 of each being provided at this price. What they don't talk about here in the store, or as even a mention in the introductory article in the weekly announcements, is that of course what wise budget-minded players like ourselves can do is spend individual wildcards on these and forego the entire anthology bundle purchase. As I mentioned, in many of the individual card aspects, a lot of this looks like pieces for, don't call it Commander, on Arena it's Brawl. So the fact that I would be provided with 4 signets or 4 talismans or 4 copies of the swords even is not really that much of a benefit. The swords, maybe, but honestly, how many constructed decks run 4 ofs any of the swords? I think most of them are running 2, perhaps 3 at the top end. But again, this is specifically being presented this way because this is the purchase decision that they want us to make. It may not be the best purchase decision for everyone. The other cautionary tale that I would make, me to you, is don't craft these cards speculatively. Wait until you're actually going to use it in a deck, because despite the fact that these anthology bundles are limited time offers, now that they've been added to the client, you can craft them with wildcards at any theoretical point in the future. Now, the second issue of presentation comes with the anthology style bundles. There's 4 different ones to choose from. And again, we see those bright, shiny, new limited time offers, the star effects behind the actual graphics of the cosmetics. But at the end of the day, these are just cosmetics. They don't even provide you with the card. They only will add the cosmetic to the existing card in your collection. So this is a secondary only purchase, none of which is actually presented anywhere, unless you really dive into the fine print and notice the word style going on there. Nowhere does it say that I could find anyway, that these are only for the cosmetics and don't include copies of the cards. The other thing that I find really startling is the huge gem prices listed on these. I believe it was something to the tune of $6,000, $4,400, $6,000, and $5,400. I honestly have no idea where they got these gem prices from. I guess it's based on buying a full price cosmetic on a particular rarity. I've never been very clear on that because there's not a huge amount of transparency. And then to create a secondary FOMO effect, they offer it at a, and I quote, deeply discounted gem value of about 25% of wherever the original price came from. They do still offer gold, but there is no discount offered there, just a one-time, one-shot price that I guess looks to be on track. Again, it's kind of hard to say exactly where that came from or how much value it's really representing relative to other things. So you guys know how I feel about cosmetics. This one gets the big old award from me, the big old Magi Raspberry. I just don't think they offer enough for the game to use your resources on this. Rather than spending 5,000 plus gold here, consider going to do a draft and adding cards to your collection that will increase your play value and enjoyment. But that's my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. I'm not here to tell you how to spend your money, but how I would spend mine. So, at the end of the day, you're probably a grown-up, or you have your parents' permission to make decisions, one of the two. So, do what you want to do. So at the end of the day, I think these new Arena Anthologies bring some exciting and worthwhile cards to the platform. However, I don't think that the presented bundles represent the best value for every Arena player. And honestly, I think they're being marketed with a great deal of FOMO-esque urgency that is not really deserved. I think your average player on Arena is going to be better served strategically using wildcards to add decks, not preemptively, not speculatively, but as they're needed for individual decks. And I think a lot of these cards are going to be one-ofs in our collection to facilitate better Brawl decks with specific designs. But hey, enough about what I think. This is your opportunity. Get down in the comments. Let me know what you think about these and how you plan to interact with them, or perhaps not. And before we go, I really want to take a moment to thank my patrons for their months of continuous and reliable support here at the Stronghold. It's this kind of support that really gives me the confidence to make investments in the Stronghold, despite the fact that I'm investing money out of pocket month after month. But thank you guys. This means so much and allows me to do so much for the community. And of course, I have some suggestions for some additional content right here on the Stronghold.